If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.
Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Johnson. Thanks for joining us today. I'm with Jenn Foster, my business partner at Elite Online Publishing. Hey, Jenn.
Hey, everyone. How's it going today?
Well, you are in the right place. If you know, this is the Elite Publishing Podcast, and it's everything books, writing, publishing, marketing your books, learning everything about that. And we're bringing you authors from all different kinds, whether it's children's books, nonfiction, and fiction books. And today we have a fiction book author, and she lives in Tennessee, and I want to say Nashville. And we have a mutual friend, and that's kind of how she got on our show today. And her name is Hope Gibbs, and she wrote this beautiful book called Where the Grass Grows Blue. So I am interested in this book, and it's about a divorced woman. Jenn and I are both divorced. So, it could be, even though it's fictional, it could have part of our story in there. You never know. But she's been very successful so far, and her book just published this year. So Hope, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Tell us a little bit about your author journey and when you first decided you were going to write a book.
So I didn't start out to write a book. I have 5 children, and I left corporate America to raise 5 children. And when my second son was heading off to college, I'm not very great at math, but I could do the math. And I realized I was going to be an empty nester at 50. And what was that going to look like? I mean, I wasn't going to go back into the job that I had. And a friend suggested that I journal. And that lasted a week. I hated it. But when I was journaling, I started creating the outline of this character. And so I would just start playing around with this character and location, but I really didn't know where I was going to go until, of all places, in church, our minister mentioned the name Bob Dylan. And then he said the words "tangled up in blue," and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, that is where I'm going. And about a year later, I wrote those beautiful words at the end to my first draft.
Wow. Now, what was your discipline to write? Were you writing every day, just once a week? Did you do it in the morning, at night? Did you talk the book? What did you do?
So at that point, I still had 3 very active children, most of which who were still not driving. So after I would drive them all over the place, and I carried my laptop everywhere. If they were at an event or if I was waiting for them in line, I would pull out my laptop. But most of my work happened after the dishes were put up, the kids were, doing their homework. My husband was watching TV. I sat on a little chair and I would just write.
Mhm. That was good.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to do you from start to finish? How long did you say it was again till you got it done?
It was about 1 year. And that was when I realized I had written a bloated 120,000 word manuscript that was a lot of telling and not a lot of showing. So then I went and ripped it apart and started I read a lot of books on craft and YouTube videos and articles and worked it, and then found an editor. I wanted a professional editor to help me get it to the place that I could, start submitting to agents and publishers. And so that really changed a lot. And they also charge by the word. So I cut a lot of words. I got it to that beautiful 93,000 word count. And that took about a year for me just to do that, because I was still raising kids, and editing is tough. It's not, you give it to someone and they do it. You end up having to do all the work. And then I sat on it because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I decided, hey, let's just see what could happen. And I started submitting it.
That's awesome. Let's go back to the editing, because you said a couple points in there, and I was actually going to ask you, so did you have someone help you edit it down from that many words down? But that's good that you are announcing it and being authentic and real, because a lot of people think, I'm going to write my manuscript, send it to an editor, they're going to send it back, and we're ready. And it's like, no, it's not a one-time thing that they do back. It's a back and forth thing, and you are the writer and the author, so you have to either approve her edits or disapprove her edits. And that's what my other question was it a content edit? Did she help you write it, or was it more of just the line editing and, grammar kind of.
That the one that I paid for to get it ready, that was a content edit. And a content edit isn't where they take it and they redo everything. No, they find all the holes in your manuscript. They tell you this sentence is just give it. Oh, all you're doing is telling, move this to showing, or vice versa. They don't fix it. You give them a beautiful book and they rip it apart, and then you have to put it back together, but it makes you a better writer. And it also, I mean, it teaches you a different type of writing. So that was the first edit. And then when I got my deal with my publisher, I had a content edit. And then that went a couple of rounds. And then you go to line edits. And that's a whole other round of editing, which is so important. It really makes your book sharp. I can't even believe how much a line edit can do for you.
I think a lot of times people think, oh, I edited it, or I had my mom read it and she was a school teacher, so we're good to go. And it's like, no, you need a lot of eyes on it and multiple times.
Agreed.
Did you do any beta readers? I was curious if you put it out to beta readers, like people who were your target audience.
So I was so secretive about being a writer because, again, I thought I was just, a wife and a mom, living here in Tennessee. So I kept it very close. The first people who ever read that book was the editor who I hired, and then the agents and my publisher who ended up buying my book. So it was a very small group of people who read that. But I have dear friends who are writers, and they so believe in beta writers and critique partners. And with my second book, I have had a couple of eyes on it from writers, because when I wrote this book, I was such in a bubble. I didn't know any other writers. I didn't really have that community. And I can tell you, start making those connections now, because some of my dearest friends right now are writers, and I have connected with hundreds of writers, and they're wonderful.
Wow. Take us through the process of finding a literary agent and then going the traditional publishing route, and why you went that route, or did you even consider self-publishing at any time during your journey?
Yeah. So I sat on my manuscript for almost a year. It was one of my children's friends who knew I'd written this book, and he finally said, "Are you ever going to do anything with this?" So he kind of guilted me. So at the end of July of 2021, I put together a letter, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But I subscribed to Publishers Marketplace, and I started researching my genre, because you just can't go after any literary agent. You have to be in your genre. And so I had sent out a bunch of queries, maybe 20, 25. I was getting requests and partials and fulls. But I also was kind of in a hurry, because I'm like, getting close to 50. I want to see what can happen. And I'd made a connection with the WFWA. It's the Women's Fiction Writers Association. And I watched a webinar about self-publishing and hybrid publishing, and another publishing I'd never heard of, small press. So a couple of them were with this small press called Red Adept, and a lot of them have agents, but they accept manuscripts with no agent. And they offered me a contract at the beginning of December. And so that was basically a 4-month period, kind of quick, but I jumped at it. And I'm so happy that I did.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit of the difference between the small press and the hybrid that you found.
So a hybrid is a little bit kind of the same model as traditional publishing and self-publishing. So it's still, you have to submit, because the hybrid press, they're going to get some of your royalties, not a lot, but they have, an interest for your book to do well. But you're paying for everything. You're paying for the cover design, you're paying for the distribution, the editing, all that. And it can be up to $10,000 to $15,000 just to get your book out there. But they've got but they help you with marketing. I did get accepted to 3 hybrid presses, but I decided not to do that. I wanted to go I wanted to do traditional. Small presses considered traditional, even though it's still on a smaller scale. But I know several authors who've done hybrid, and they love it. But for me, for self-publishing, because I was so new at this, I didn't think I had the skill set. And so I was really hoping to get, a traditional publishing deal.
So the small press was like traditional. They gave you some money, right? And then they take it and they split the royalties with you down the road.
And they pay for they cover design and the distribution, and they did the things in the business sense that I just didn't think I had it in me. And I was so happy with Red Adept. Their editors were top notch. They really pushed me, even though I'd had my book edited, they took it to a different level.
Oh, that's really good to know. And then there's a third choice, which was like what we are. We self-publish for you, but we don't take any of the royalties.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you can do that. So
I
what
have I've met many authors who have done that and they're so happy. I had a friend who did the traditional publishing way and now she only self-publishes. She's like, I will never go back. So I really think that you have to find what's right for you. I don't think there's a right reason or a wrong reason. I know authors on every single one of these journeys, and it's just what you feel comfortable with.
I think that's so true. Finding what really works for you and where you're at in your journey and your book. Fiction books are different than nonfiction. And absolutely, I think so. And then tell us now the actual like launch process and marketing. Like, did the publishing house, because some traditional publishers do some a little bit of marketing, some don't do any, and what you did for marketing, because I know you're doing some on your own and promoting the book. So we want to hear that. And then we'll dive into reviews after that.
I had a bare minimum on publicity. I mean, they have helped me get like a BookBub deal. That was huge. They'll put my book on sale. They have their own website and they do promote you through social media, but 97% of it is me. And when I started, I didn't have a website. Even when I was trying to find a publisher, I had no website, no social media. And if you're thinking about, trying to find a publisher or an agent within the next 6 months to a year, start it now. I know it sounds crazy to say, oh, what am I going to put on there? For me, from the time I signed my contract to my book came out was 18 months. And that seems like a long time, but in traditional publishing, that's pretty quick. But I still had to fill social media and a website for 18 months. So for me, I went from 0 followers to, I've got 2,800 followers, but I did it through connecting with the Bookstagram community. I read books all the time, but I never left reviews. So I was like, okay, that's one way of filling it. And I made so many connections with authors because I would tag them in there. Authors are so grateful for any review you give them. And then I started building a community, and it also helped my writing because I was like, oh, I got to get out a review today. And it just strengthens your writing. And I also started blogging, putting that on my website. And it wasn't about, oh, I have a book coming out. My blogs were about my lifestyle, and flowers were really important in my book. And I would blog about flowers and recipes and cooking and the craziness of being a mom of 5. And blogging helped my writing. So a lot of my promotional goes through there, but I also go to book festivals. I do book signings. I have been lucky to be on wonderful podcasts like you have, on television. But it's the promoting is a whole other world of being an author. You've got your promoting book, your promoting hat, and you've got your creative hat.
Yeah, I love that you talk about that because a lot of times there's some authors who think that they can just publish their book and then sit back and watch the sales come in. And it's like, I love that you're an action taker and you're actually getting out there to the book signings and the festivals and the podcast tours.
Yeah, it's essential to put yourself out there. And it's hard to say, oh, look at me, buy my book. But if you want to be an author, I don't care who you are, you have to promote it. Your book, even the most reclusive authors have to do some promotion.
And I want to dive into the reviews a little more. You mentioned a little bit about the Booktagram. And is that where you feel like most of your reviews came? Or tell us, like, how do you feel like you got to 706 reviews?
Well, at first it was like pulling teeth. So, especially when I was a debut writer at 50. So, 51 years old, people didn't know me. And so before my book came out, I did reach out to certain people and did some book tours to get those first kind of, influencer reviews. And, you ask your friends and family, oh, leave a review. And they're like, oh, I will, but they don't, because life gets in the way. But you just have to keep working at it and working at it. I did like a Goodreads giveaway. So the great thing with that is on Goodreads, if someone enters to win, your book has to be in there to be read. So that's always helpful, and you get reviews that way. But a really big reason I think I'm getting the reviews I am now is because I was lucky enough my book got a BookBub, and then it was in Kindle Unlimited. And I was so silly, I didn't really understand what Kindle Unlimited was. I was like, oh, it's being read for free. I don't get royalties. You do get royalties. You get bonuses from Amazon. Amazon is the one who's letting people read for free for the subscription. And I went almost all of my reviews, I think, are because of that. And so if you're a self-published author, you control when you go on Kindle Unlimited. When you're with a publisher, you have no control over that. They do.
But it was that combination of the BookBub promotion and the Kindle Unlimited together.
Yeah. And I also sought out some big reviews at the beginning, like with Kirkus. It's an expensive thing and you don't know what you're going to get with Kirkus. And the great thing with Kirkus, because they're notoriously known for sometimes just kind of giving really harsh reviews, if it's bad, you don't have to publish it. But if you want to use any part of it, it has to be published. And I was very fortunate to get a very good Kirkus review, so I could put that on my website. And also my book's been submitted to book awards and it's winning book awards. So that also kind of helps. And, you look for every opportunity. Before we came on today, I was looking at festivals, 2024 book festivals. So you just have to be willing to put yourself out there. If you believe in your book, if you love your product.
I love that. You got to believe in yourself and not be shy about it. Because if you're going to be shy about it, or you don't want to, show your face, then it's going to be hard to sell a lot of books.
And with the book awards, did you submit for the book awards or did your publisher do that for you?
No, I did. I found book awards, and, Kirkus Review was the one who threw me for a loop because they put my book, who I thought was women's fiction, into contemporary romance. And I was just shocked. But then when I started looking at the genre, Carly Fortune's books are in that, and Emily Henry. So when I started reading, I'm like, well, yeah, my book does fit in there. And so I've really kind of leaned into the romantic, and every award I've won has been contemporary romance, small town romance.
Yeah. See, sometimes we don't even know, like one of our big things is putting your books in the right categories that they'll have the most success. And sometimes the writer doesn't realize the categories or understand the categories right. So that's a good point that you're like, oh, I didn't expect to be in that category. And there you were.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're trying to reach out to an agent or a publisher, they want what they call comps. They want like 2 books that your book is compared to, and don't ever say, well, my book is unique, there's nothing like it. That's not what this is. This is a business. They want to know where we can say in Barnes and Noble, this is where it belongs. So as you're writing your book, you really should be thinking about, if I was in a bookstore, what books should this be next to? So, or be thinking of an elevator pitch. It's so hard that you've written, 90,000 words and you really need to come down to, 15 words to describe your book. But those are things that on your downtime, if you're having like a little bit of a writer's block, those are great things. And those are marketing tools. You need those marketing tools.
And then one of the little like coaching tips that we have, that we do for our fiction authors, is make sure that the book also has a subtitle. The subtitle doesn't have to go on the book, but when you add that subtitle to the listing, then it helps the algorithms even more. So maybe on your next book, tell the publisher, I really want a subtitle with my book, not on the cover, but I want it in the heading. So then the algorithms are going to pick it up more.
And those algorithms, that's why reviews are so important. And I'll be honest, before I was a published author, I read all these books, but I never went on Goodreads or never went on Amazon, even though that's where I get a lot of my books, to leave a review. But the more reviews a book has, they keep pushing it into people's feeds. And it's essential. I can't stress that enough. Amazon's algorithm, I don't know how it works, but it does work based on the number of reviews. And so it's so important.
Yeah, I really do think also that the content in the reviews, like the words that people are saying and the words that are in your description, and even your A+ content, if people don't know what that is, check out Hope's sales page for her book. She has really beautiful A+ content. All of those things contribute to the SEO, or the search engine optimization. So when people are searching on Google for a book, all of those reviews and all those words that people leave, whether they're negative or positive, it's going to help to get people to your book.
Yeah. And those reviews are great because I also do Facebook ads. I'm getting ready to do another round of Facebook ads for my Kindle Unlimited. And, those reviews, those keywords, those are, I lean into those in my ads because, you just want to keep putting it out there and you just want to keep building and building. So,
and I don't know, this might be too personal to ask, but for our authors out there, obviously you've invested in, Kirkus Review, Facebook ads, different things and your book has been out since like spring, like April, right? I think
came out May 16th is when the actual book came out. Yeah.
So what do you think your investment has been out of your pocket for marketing so far?
I don't know. I haven't really kept up with that, but I'm in the thousands. I mean, my book was I was very fortunate. My book has sold very well. It's been top. It's been in my publisher's top 10, or it wasn't. Or it was number one the entire year that it's been out, and it was the most read on Kindle Unlimited all year. So I've been very fortunate with that. But I will say, with a small press, I'm probably breaking even. So for right now, it's and people need to understand that it does take an investment. And this is my first book, and hopefully it will not be my last. My second book is almost finished. Third is mapped out, but it's a business and it's hard. Most writers do not break even, and that's just something that a lot of it is a kind of a passion project or whatnot. For me, this is what I'm hoping can be the beginning of a career.
Yeah, I like that mindset and that vision that you have.
There's certain things I wouldn't pay for. I don't pay because like you'll get in your DMs, you get these, for $35, I'll review your book. And, I don't do that at all. I also have like in my contract, certain things I can and cannot do. Like Kirk's review is one thing, but no, I don't pay for reviews. That's something that I don't do.
Mm-hmm. What about Amazon ads? Does your publisher do that, or do you do that?
No, I really haven't done Amazon ads. Facebook ads have seemed to be where I've had the most success. And again, it helped with that BookBub. It wasn't a US BookBub, but it was Australia, UK, and Canada. And right now, there's a special. Amazon reached out to my publisher. I'm in a special kind of thing in Australia, and my book is doing great in Australia on their Kindle Unlimited. So you just, it never stops. Once your book is out there, if you want it to grow, because my publisher was very clear with me, it's not going to blow up the first day. It does not. It is, for me, it has been steady, going up. But a lot of that is I've been working really hard to keep it going.
Did they give you any advice, roadmap, consultation of what you should do for the marketing part?
Yeah, so with my publisher, you get a mentor, and it's another seasoned writer. And then you're also in a Facebook group, so you can ask questions of any time. And then they also have lists. There's a lot of spreadsheets, like, this person, you can do reviews. They're good, advanced reader copy, you can do advanced reader copies. And yeah, so they gave a roadmap. And I was also very fortunate. I signed at the same time as Donna Carbone, and we actually now have a podcast together. And so she signed a little bit before me, so she could tell me what was getting ready to happen, like get ready for your acknowledgments, get ready for your covers. They're going to want your ideas for your covers. Not that you have full control, but you do have some input, certain things like that to get ready for your launch. Because at first you're just kind of sitting there like, this is never, it takes forever to get things moving. And then when it starts moving, it's fast.
Well, speaking of control, how much control did you feel like you had, and how much control do you feel like they had the ball on you? Like, you may have said, I would like this, and they said, well, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, in regards to the cover, the first cover they sent me, I almost dropped my phone. It was not anywhere what I wanted. And when I reached back out to them, they were like, we know exactly. The second cover, which ended up being this, when I saw that, I was like, it took my breath away, because it's got purple hydrangeas. I don't know if you can see it, but flowers play a huge role, and purple hydrangeas especially. And it takes place in Kentucky, where the grass grows blue. I wanted a blue cover. And with editing, they were very, they gave me a lot of leeway, but I took about 95% of the edits suggestion. There was only maybe one thing I'm like, no, I don't want to change it in that direction. And they were fine with that. Line edits are a little bit different. Line edits you pretty much accept what the line editor says, because they're seeing things that, I wasn't a grammar, not an English teacher. So I relied a lot on my line editor.
And then what about the formatting? How did you like the formatting process?
That was really on them. So I didn't have as much on that. I had more of artistic creativity, but on that, they pretty much did that.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure it looks beautiful, right?
No, I was, again, when the second I touched my book the first time, it was unexpected because there was a glitch. Amazon put my book out a month before it was supposed to come out for like a day or two. And all my friends were getting their books, and I hadn't even gotten my box from my publisher. So my friends had gotten my book, but then they pulled it off. And so because I got an audiobook, which was my Red Adept sold it to Blackstone, they were the ones who set that date. They
Okay.
became in control of my release date. So
Mhm.
everybody was touching my book before me. So
Say
How
that
did
again.
it
They sold your book to Blackstone?
so Blackstone Audio. So
publishing?
they're
Oh, okay.
yes.
Sorry. Like,
So,
I'm really confused now.
so what they did is I was always going to get an audiobook, but she was like, we're going to send a couple of, books over there, and they selected mine. She didn't think I had a chance because I was new and loved my audiobook. I'm not an audiobook person per se. I don't listen to them often, but I was very lucky, and I did get to have a say. They narrowed it down to 2 narrators, and I was so excited. I chose Helen Laser, and the week before, or right before she did my book, she did the book Yellowface, which was a huge book this year. So she
Mm,
did a great job. So I was very happy.
that's good. How did it feel when you did get your books in the mail finally and you got to hold your book?
It was crazy. A friend FedEx their copy to me because I was out of town. And so I sat there and I couldn't believe it. I'm not going to lie, I teared up because a book isn't, I mean, you don't just invest your time, you invest your heart. And so that's the other thing is, you let it go then, because at this point, people are going to criticize you. That's part of it, and you just have to, let it roll off your back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, tell us, what's the coolest thing that's happened to you because of your book?
Honestly, it's meeting a reader, or a reader, contacts me through social media or my website who I don't know or am not related to. And they tell me how much they loved my book and how much this book means to them. And I guess I wasn't prepared for that at all. And that's the coolest thing that has happened. I've had probably like 4 or 5 of those experiences. And, there's some tough moments in this book. There's some lighthearted moments, but my character had a hard childhood, and strangers opening up saying, this happened to me. And so that's been the most wonderful thing, is meeting people who love the book. That's been the best part. And I got to go to New York and see my book on a billboard in Times Square for a day.
Woo.
That's really fun. Well, where can people go to find more about you and your book and get more information?
So I have a website. It's authorhopegibbs.com. Over there, I blog. I haven't gotten to blog recently because I've been so busy doing other things, but you can also go there. I have all of the links. You can buy my book, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, all of those places. And you can buy it paperback or ebook or audiobook.
I love that you also have a CD available for those who still have CD players in their car and like to listen to books on road trips.
Yeah, I have a CD, and you can also get it on Audible as well. So yeah, you can go over to my website and you can find all kinds of things. And I also blog about my little dog, Harley, who is my writing partner. He is a 16-year-old rescue who sat next to me the whole time I wrote this book.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're just beautiful inside and out. We're just so pleased to have you here today. Thanks for sharing your story and helping our other authors that are listening in. And if you're thinking about writing a book and your book is something that's inspirational or motivational or educational, reach out to us and we'll see if you're a good fit for us at Elite Online Publishing. We make all of our authors bestsellers. So hit that author submission button. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Thank you.
If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.